How has the agency review process changed?
The procurement officer at a client company has been much more influential. Sometimes they actually drive the review because the agency might be interested in saying, we've got to save money, we've got to cut costs, and that's where the CMO, the marketing person, comes in. So the marketing person and the procurement person have to really learn how to play nice in the sandbox.
I imagine that one of the challenges that you guys are facing is it's a whole new set of benchmarks. It's a whole new set of trying to establish histories in areas where things are changing so quickly and where there isn't a whole lot of history.
Right. Measurements, because of the internet primarily, have increased tremendously. The procurement people, the marketing people, when they go to their board or they go to their boss, they have to have justification for almost everything they do, and that has to be measured.
So boil this down for me on the agency side. What does this mean for agencies? How do they respond?
I think agencies have to really take greater note of how to control costs. An agency often will provide the kitchen sink to a client because they think everything we do is what they need, and that's not true. So the resources they use have to be relevant to the client's business. The amount of information that they provide may or may not be essential. That has to be reviewed. So agencies really have to think more about cost control and how to not only maintain a reasonable profit for themselves, but also save money for a client.
Really redouble down on the business end of things.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's look at it from the client side then. What do clients really want from their agencies?
They don't believe they're getting enough leadership from their agencies. Clients will say, tell me something I don't already know. You take me in new directions and show me how can I measure the results or success of those directions you take me in. The other is they really need more ideas. They want big ideas. And there are a lot of agencies that have created chief innovation offices.
Absolutely.
So, that's a big part of it as well. So I think that's how basically the agencies have to respond.
Do you have any advice or any encouragement for agencies that are being asked to create innovative ideas but also being asked to measure specifically? How do you blend those two things?
I'll tell you something that Albert Einstein said. Not everything that counts can be counted. Think about the culture of a client. You have to adopt a client's culture at the agency. It doesn't mean the whole agency has that culture, but the team that works on the client's business certainly has to work harmoniously with the client. As far as the measurability side, an idea has to translate into something. It has to translate into a business result.
It's nice hearing that from the numbers guy. I know it's similar when CFOs have to invest in R&D. It's a little hard to measure, but if you don't, you lose the lifeblood.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what makes a pitch work?
Relevance is the most important thing. Whether you use case histories, whether you use some of your research sources, proprietary systems and tools, they have to be relevant. Don't throw in the kitchen sink. Eyes glaze over when an agency comes in and says, we can do all these 10,000 things. Well, they're not all relevant to what the client does. The team that sits in an agency review, every member of that team has to have something to say, something to contribute. You can't have people sitting around who are employees of the agency but aren't going to be working on that client team and don't have anything to say. And the other problem is that sometimes the CEO just stands up and takes over. And that doesn't allow a client to see how the team members work together.
What are the most common mistakes that you see?
There's two sides of that. One is the mistakes that are made at a review, and the other are mistakes that are made in a sustaining relationship with a client, which eventually will cause a review. I had a client the other day who said, this agency was wonderful, but they didn't tell me anything I didn't know. An agency-client relationship really must be always on. The agency must demonstrate a true partnership, true involvement. They are there all the time whenever the client needs them. And that's, I think, another mistake that agencies make. You've got to be there literally 24 hours a day if that's what the client demands and you want their business.
Mike, it's just a pleasure to speak with you, and especially
you.
when the industry is changing so quickly. It's
It
fun to
is.
see that you're enjoying this.
It is. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.